fired up.
The snap, the put down, the swing of the leg. It is on its way. It is good! Cincinnati wins the American Championship.
Cincinnati, a 20-point win tonight in Kansas City.
Cincinnati is legit. Welcome to the national scene. Wes Miller and the Cincinnati Bearcats with the win.
And guess what? The Joe Burrow era is just beginning.
Welcome back. It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. As always, I'm Aaron Smith, joined by my two co-hosts, partners in crime, Jeff Howell, and the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, Ed Mayhall, without his beard and sleeves. But we also have special guest, friend of the show. He's joined us once before, impromptu, and he is here with a shirt on, not drunk. And we have Nick Kirby. Nick, welcome to the show. You are on mute. I don't know if you caught that or not, but.
Oh yeah. I'm a pro, man. I mute
Right?
myself and I unmute and come in, and you gotta make the show sound crisp, man. I'm here for you.
Fair enough.
Man, I wish other people believed in doing that.
I get on my crew too, so
Cool. Well, welcome for your first official spot with us. Little bit about Nick, though. You kind of got your start to the podcast game just by putting together videos from what I know of about the Reds, and it kind of took off from there, where you became kind of everybody who was in Reds Twitter was knew of Nick Kirby, whether it was a follow or whether it was because of the videos. And then all of a sudden you had your late night Reds. So what has this been like from the infancy of your rise to podcast guy who John Sadak is talking about on Reds broadcasts?
that's wild. That never gets normal. I don't really understand that. No, I actually started with Red Leg Nation. I've been writing with them since 2013. So that was pretty much what I did. I guess how a lot of Reds fans knew me was through writing, big stat guy. And then like during COVID, I really kind of, randomly started getting into like video editing and started trying to like collect old Reds games and edit footage. And that's kind of just, I guess, become a passion. That's probably more of a passion than writing. I still write for Red Leg Nation, but not as much. And then my buddy Tim, who I've known for, a long time through Twitter, said, "Hey, you want to start a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we just started it very casually, and it's picked up a little bit, and got a pretty good following. I was down at a Great American this weekend, and had a lot of people come up and say hi, and that was really cool, really really special. As someone who I live up in the Cleveland area, as someone who isn't in the city, it's really cool to be able to connect with people and share my passion for the old Red Legs.
Speaking of not being in the city, you're a fan of a team that's not in the city because they reside in the city of Norwood, Xavier University. So for the Bearcats people who follow us from Bearcat Journal, he is kind of the enemy. But again, it's tough supporting a team that's found itself in a city within a city.
I don't know. They didn't have a first round exit of the TBT, right? Did they make it to?
Oh shit!
Right. I mean, you're gonna bring it.
I go back to the rivalry game where I'm pretty sure they took a tie, but that first beating, woof. Just saying.
Did you go to Xavier?
No.
So
why are you a Xavier fan?
Where does that come from?
Yeah, only people who go to Xavier are Xavier fans.
No, I mean, I grew up in Cincinnati, and I decided to support the winner. I don't.
You just like schools with ugly campuses.
Good Catholic boy.
Yeah, something like that.
I was on
my
campus last week, and it is not appealing.
One of my teachers in school was a big Xavier fan, and I, when I was in elementary school, and I don't know, I kind of caught on, and I don't know,
Fair enough. We all have our vices. It's fine.
Speaking of vices, I'm having a cookie.
Huh. So he did. Unreal. So the Cincinnati Reds, this season has been, the best way to put it has been a wash. It's been a roller coaster since Phil Castellini opened his yap and set the fan base in a tailspin. I'm sure people who follow you on your late Reds know your opinion, but for those here, what has your opinion been on the season thus far, since starting with Phil's comments and everything thereafter?
I don't even know where to begin with that. For me, I'm someone who's more probably middle of the road with ownership. Phil's comments were ridiculous, over the top. I'm not in love with the Castellinis by any stretch of the imagination, but I also don't think like the Reds ownership group, at least spending wise, is really all that bad compared to other smaller markets. Cincinnati's a smaller market. So my issue with the Castellinis has far longer been, like the meddling in the front office's decisions. My biggest issue was, like back in 2015, holding on to players too long. So it's some weird stretch of the imagination. It's hard for me. I feel like it almost would be hypocritical to be mad when they trade a player like Jesse Winker, because that's kind of what we wanted years ago, was holding on to players too long. So I think ultimately what the Reds did this offseason was probably the right move. Once you come to the fact that their payroll was going to be below $120 million, it is really hard for me, as optimistic as I am, to find any way. And I would love for someone to say, how would the Reds have competed this year with a under $120 million payroll? I don't see it. So I think ultimately probably what they did was probably the right move long term, as much as it, sucked to punt on a season when, you were coming off an 83 win season. Time will ultimately tell on that. I hope I don't mind the Reds trading players like Jesse Winker or Luis Castillo, or even Tyler Mahle, or players that are like within, a year and a half of control left, if they don't extend them early. I think the Reds should have tried to extend Luis Castillo maybe in 2020 instead of, it's hindsight, instead of some of the money they spent. I think they might have been a little too aggressive trying to come out of the long rebuild.
You can say Moose. It's okay.
No, I don't even want to. I don't want to hindsight on Moose himself. Because I feel like that's such cherry picking. And again, when Moose was signed, I don't think I said, "Oh, that's a bad signing." So if I didn't say it then, I'm not gonna come back now and say, "Yeah, that," you know what I mean? That seems not fair. So I'll sum it up with this. I hope that the next time the Reds should trade a Jesse Winker type player with a year and a half of control left, I hope that trading that player doesn't make them punt the next season. And I think you can get to that point, because teams like the Rays traded Blake Snell and then went to the World Series, right? So it's possible to do both. The Reds aren't in that spot. So it's going to take time for this kind of a plan to work. And I understand the frustration and the disappointment and all that. I mean, I've been a Reds fan just like anyone else. But I ultimately think it can work. And again, if you're not going to spend $200 million in payroll, you got to make these kind of moves.
How much of it do you think comes down to, and we've talked about this, and we talked about it early on as it was happening, and then kind of trying to look back at some of the things, how much of it was like the optics and what the front office / Castellinis were all trying to say of like, we're not cutting payroll, we're not shedding this, we're really trying to compete. And you think it would have been better if they'd come out and been like, listen, we really need to rebuild this team. We need to change the way we're looking at this, and not saying like, we're going to change our expectations and realign them with our payroll and those kinds of things.
I think if they wouldn't have half-assed last year, it probably would have been a lot easier to stomach this year. I think last year, and again, I don't want to be too critical of last year with like what Nick Krall did, because I enjoyed last season so much, and an 83 win season, and maybe I'm stupid or naive or whatever. I enjoyed it. I didn't have any regrets getting invested in. It was a fun season. It didn't work. It didn't work out, but I enjoyed it, and ultimately that's why I watch baseball. But I think if ownership would have said, all right, well, hey, we've sucked most of the time we're here. This is probably our last hurrah. We're not trading Nick Castellanos. We're not trading Jesse Winker and Luis Castillo then. And they had tried a little bit more, like maybe signed a Marcus Simeon in the offseason and kept Rysel. Like, you do those two things, that's $30 million ish. That team, it's hard to say how they wouldn't have made the playoffs, So that's what makes this season tough. But I think give them crap for last season, but ultimately I think what they did this season is probably the right move, if that makes sense.
Well, here's where I'll disagree is I think that there were knee-jerk reactions to the general public in regards to like the Mike Minor signing or just some of the things that happened after Phil opened his mouth and basically said, to sum it up, where are you going to go? People have been going anywhere else but the ballpark, largely speaking, as this stadium is seeing record lows since its inception. And
I like to go to FC Cincinnati when I don't go to a Reds game.
You said that wrong. It's Mid-Cincinnati. But because all they do is tie it. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the ownership, while they say they're here trying to win and they do these things, and then they largely get shit on by the general public, and then they come out and do some weird things with payroll trying to show they're spending money again. Like, none of it made sense.
So I think some of the moves were about cutting money. I don't think the Jesse Winker trade was really all about cutting money. I don't think that trade in particular had all that much. I think it was trying to capitalize on his value.
To get rid of Suarez, yes, I would agree. But that again goes back to money.
Well, my counter would be, does Jesse Winker have more value in the offseason or does he have more value now? He's lost value. And he hasn't even got hurt this year yet.
Suarez, on the other hand, has gained value.
He has, but has he made up the difference of what Winker?
I'm not mad about that trade. So I guess I probably should have prefaced everything with that. Is that trade didn't bother me. Even I know some people got upset about Tucker Barnhart and that. The Wade Miley thing bothered me as they replaced Wade Miley. And obviously in hindsight, we know that he's been injured this season and that's been kind of a thing, but so has Mike Minor. But that seemed like a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. And I don't understand why any of that happened. But it just, again, there was some head scratching things that happened after the trade and people got upset.
Yeah, I mean, Wade Miley's only made 4 starts this year. So
he came off the DL and went right back on, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know what the Reds knew about Wade Miley because we have no idea. I mean, they could have said, "Hey, this dude's arm's washed," I'm just speculating, but he's only made 4 starts. Look, the Mike Minor signing has not been good.
No.
But
it's been bad. I know you can't say bad because you are the eternal optimist, but I'll say it for you.
He's been terrible.
There you go. Let it fly.
I was there on Saturday. I mean, but again, Mike Minor was just a fill-in guy. I mean, I think they had cut their payroll down. They were told they had a $120 million budget. That one didn't work, but the Tommy Pham one has looked pretty good. The Donovan Solano ones look pretty good. They may get something back for those guys. So, I mean, I think
looked fantastic.
Yeah, Drury was only $900,000. So, I mean, I guess we can sit all day about Mike Minor. I don't think Mike Minor was brought here to be good. I think Mike Minor was brought here to be a dude that could throw some innings
and eat innings. Yeah,
and I mean, he hasn't really ate the innings very well. Right. I mean, you hope in the second half, he can at least just. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be rushing dudes up here that aren't ready. And at some point, Hunter Green and Graham Ashcraft, maybe not Nick Lodolo because he's been hurt so much, they're going to run into an innings limit. And you're going to need even bad pitchers just to kind of be there. So I don't know. The Mike Minor, it's weird, but I also like whatever. It's money it's on a 1-year deal. Like it's not like they signed Mike Minor. They traded for Mike Minor. He's got like 3 years of control. He's just a fill-in guy this year. So
I think the Mike Minor thing really ruffled a lot of people's feathers. Kind of obviously before the Wade Miley situation started kind of fleshing itself out, where he started on the DL, and I know you tweeted about it. Like I don't know, it's probably 2 months ago. Like what did they know? Like when that whole like just kind of letting him walk. When that happened, like what did they actually know then? Because obviously they had to have known something. Like it wasn't just I mean, I guess it could have been a freak thing that he's been injured this much and not, been able to make very many starts. So I think the Mike Minor thing then seemed a lot more like you could have had Wade Miley, who was already at least productive here. And now you're kind of taking a flyer on a guy.
And we know how much Cincinnati loves their no-hitters.
Well, there's also one other piece to that. I'll try to explain it the best I can. The Reds had to make a decision on Wade Miley before his contract would have been tendered. So one thing that getting rid of Wade Miley back then did was it gave them flexibility. Again, this is once you get past ownership and we're talking into the front office and what they decided. I like to talk in terms of what front office does, but the ownership, okay, like what spend more. Okay, then your conversation's over. Like, there's not really, I don't feel any value to that. So the front office, though, the one thing they didn't want to do was I don't think they wanted to be forced to trade Sonny Gray, because if they had held on to Wade Miley, when you start looking at the money, they would have had to dump Sonny Gray if they had held on to Wade Miley. So I think that also might have been a piece of this. Because again, if you have to trade a guy, and teams know that any leverage you have is gone. So I don't know. That might have played something to do. Had something to play with in it too.
So I like Nick Krall. I'll be the first to say that. I think he's been dealt a shit sandwich and has done the very best he has been able to do with no support from the front office in that regard. But I don't know. I guess in my estimation, like this, it just seems that the front office is meddling since they've been here. I feel like they've been meddling. And
ownership.
Yes, I'm sorry. The ownership's been meddling. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like the fan base largely has not given Nick Krall a fair shake. I know people are starting to turn on David Bell, who he's never been dealt anything remotely good. He's made, I don't know. You can what's the saying? You can put lipstick on a pig, but whatever. I mean, he's done the best he could. With
that's the saying.
The tools that he had. Thank you, Ed. With the tools that he's been given, like none of these guys that people are actually coming after have really done anything to warrant the pitchforks, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm glad someone doesn't think Nick Krall's just completely off. I don't think we know enough about Nick Krall to really judge him yet.
He's been put in place to be a scapegoat.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't really like the thing I didn't like last year was at the beginning of the season, everyone's like, "Oh, it's ownership that stinks. Nick Krall's fine. He's not." And then once the season gets going and everyone just turns on him, it's like, why? Just because things went south, I didn't really understand that last year.
I think the Nick Krall, I think the ire that he draws is based on the fact that he's kind of the one that they always, when they have a statement that they need to make, right? Like reference the payroll or the team, the direction things are going, it's always him out front. So it's his face, it's him making these statements that are, if you have any interest further into the team than, thanks, Ed. If you have any interest into the team further than being kind of a, I guess, casual fan, that these statements he's making are at the direction of ownership, right? Like the whole realigning payroll comments and all those things. And I think that's where he has kind of drawn the ire of maybe the casual fan. And then David Bell, he has his quirks, and I think a lot of them have been taken away from him because he can't double switch every other inning. So like that drove me nuts. Just because, but with the DH, he's not doing that quite as much. And I also think that he's been given like 2/3 of a team every year, and kind of expected to try to make it work. Maybe not even 2/3 of a team, maybe really 1/3 of a team. And I think he's had decent success for what he's been given. I would like to see what he can do with a team that where they're kind of quote unquote all in.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the only year that maybe you could say they've underachieved. I mean, you go back to 2020. I mean, that was such a weird year. And, that team came back and won 10 of the last 12 games to reach the playoffs. I know everyone just pushes that aside.
That was a great year.
I feel like David Bell had a lot to do with that. I mean, if any season a manager has something to do with it, it's that season where, man, it would have been so easy to say, this isn't our year, the world's burning, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
But that team rallied and made a run at the end of the year. And I think he probably deserves credit for that. Last year, I mean, the team won 83 games, and I don't think most people thought the team would win 83 games. So I don't really get the David Bell. I mean, again, we need to see both of those guys, what they can do, with a better roster. Nick Kral's going to need time. You can win with a $120 million payroll. The Mariners have a smaller payroll than the Reds right now. The Brewers are right neck and neck with the Reds. You can win with that payroll, but you can't rush winning. It has to be, it takes time to build that type of team. And I hope what we've seen out of Nick Krall is the signs that he's building towards that. And this is a big deadline coming up for him.
When the Reds ownership cries poor, are you an empathizer, or are you somebody who's like, come on, man?
I wish they'd shut up about it. No one cares. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle on this because, again, you look at Pittsburgh and you look at Cleveland and you look at their payrolls, and it's minuscule compared to the Reds. So I don't necessarily want to come at them with pitchforks about what they spend. Could they spend more? Yeah. Could the Cardinals spend more? Yeah. Could the Dodgers probably spend more? Yeah. I think all these teams could probably spend more. So, but I also just don't use that as an excuse. There shouldn't be any excuses at this point. No one I don't. The Reds have not been great with PR in the last couple of years, and even if you're right, just shut up. Just take your lumps and move on. No one is going to empathize with you. The only thing that's going to fix anything is winning, and you're just going to have to wait it out. So, yeah,
I've been boycotting them all season, not buying any Reds gear, not going to any games, which is the first year in a long time that didn't involve COVID that I can actually say that. So it pains me. But I went
during the COVID games.
Yeah, you had a poster there, so
counts.
Okay,
that's huge.
Thank you. Well, it's not that big. It was pretty small.
It was the same as everybody else has said. There were parameters on that.
I'll say it was average. You're right.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Speaking of what you just said there, Ed, and the line you went, I had to go through Nick's media posts on his Twitter today to find the right picture to put on Mike Scioscia's body for that tweet. And I came across a clip that Nick tweeted out about you talking about Joey Votto's knob.
I've never seen this clip.
It's pretty funny. You were talking about how Joey Votto had a big knob.
I'll have to go find this.
You really sold it too. I mean,
it's a good clip. And
I remember that conversation.
I was actually surprised that it didn't do better as a tweet. I thought that there would be a lot more comments on it, but
oh, Lord,
bring it back.
So
I might have to.
So here we are now with the Reds in a position where they have done about what we all expected with this team. They are not doing well, and they have arguably the best trade piece in all of baseball in Luis Castillo. Before we get to the Nick Kirby trade machine, they did have a draft to try and improve. And the very first pick of that draft came at number 18. Cam Collier, a 17-year-old
dog,
was a JUCO player, skipped his senior year of high school. I think he had like 8 home runs in JUCO. Third base, they followed that up in the supplemental draft with the Nick Castellanos pick, if you will, for Nick signing with the Phillies. And it was another third baseman, which we all know. Anybody who follows any type of baseball draft, you draft best available. You don't worry about the positions, especially at that age, 17 years old, 2 17-year-olds in a row. You can kind of put them where you want to put them. The bat is probably the most important thing anyway. We got Moose out there. He started at second, at third. He's not been good at either position, and just calling it what it is. But the Reds made some good, at least on paper, it looks like some good picks, especially the first pick being a consensus top 10 guy. What did you make of the Reds draft as a whole, as you've probably glossed over about as much as any of us here that aren't like the minor league deep divers?
Yeah, Cam Collier, he was on some of the draft boards as high as number 2. So getting him at 18 is a steal for the Reds. You never know how these players are really going to work out until till they come, through the system. But
were you surprised he signed?
No, because the way this is not me speaking. This is kind of the way it's been explained to me, because I'm not a huge draft guy. I'm not going to pretend that I am. The way it was explained to me was, the Reds had extra money this year because they had it's not, the Reds had more money than the Dodgers this year, which is just for draft money, because they had more picks, because they had 2 comp picks. So they have more money to spend. So the Reds were able to take him, where a team, once he fell past 8, a lot of those other teams weren't going to take him because he was going to want more money than than other players they could get at that pick. So, for the Reds, it worked out. Everything I've heard about him is that he's a absolute professional and just grades well at everything. So
lefty.
Yeah. So, he's only 17, so it's going to be a long time probably before we see him.
There's some people that think he could be up here by 19 years old.
It's possible. He basically went the same route as Bryce Harper,
right?
And it sounds like he was the only player that's really done that, where they reclassified and went to JUCO. So the fact that he was able to do that and compete, he's competing against kids a lot older than him, which is impressive, and still putting up really good eye-popping numbers that attracted scouts. So he's a great piece. He's probably going to slide in to the top 5 Reds prospects right away. So, the Reds farm system is, I know people hate talking about it, but it's going to be absolutely loaded, especially after the trade deadline. It's going to maybe be the best Reds system since Bruce and Votto were in together. And the Reds have not had great systems pretty much since then. They've had 1 year where they were really good, but for the most part, the Reds have been in the bottom half with the farm system, which is why there was a 17,000 year rebuild, because they weren't replacing with good talent. You could say all you want about spending. Reds can raise their payroll quite a bit. They're not doing anything unless they draft well, they develop well, they acquire young talent. Because you look at the Dodgers, they're spending $200-something million. They've got half of their rosters making league minimum. So they're spending, and then also having these that's why they're so dominant right now, because they have a dominant farm system, they have a dominant spending. They're doing both. So the Reds definitely have to do the one right.
Very good. I don't want to dive too much more into the draft. I'll let you off the hook there without going really any farther. But I know that your passion lies in the Nick Kirby Trade Machine.
Hold on.
Oh.
Before we get to the Nick Kirby Trade Machine, I need to hear Nick Kirby's thoughts on moving Tyler Stevenson to first base.
We can't now. He's a broken collarbone.
And why it's a bad idea. Because I know I couldn't find the tweet, but I know at some point you put a tweet out that like compared his numbers to like the average first baseman's numbers, and the value doesn't match
well, the
up
reason,
the same
Nick,
as him as a catcher.
I got your back, Nick. The reason why we should not move him to first base right now is because he has a broken collarbone. You probably should not let anybody with a broken collarbone play first base.
Good take.
Thank you.
So, I mean, there's two things here. Number one is Tyler Stevenson is an elite hitting catcher. Tyler Stevenson is a slightly above average hitting first baseman. Tyler Stevenson is probably like Rowdy Tellez as a first baseman hitting wise. I mean, there's so much value lost in that. So, I mean, you have to, when you get, look at the guys the Reds are playing at catcher. And you can say, well, they should have kept Tucker Barnes. Tucker Barnes is like a 516 OPS right now. It is so hard to find a good hitting catcher. Man, when you have it, it makes every other piece of roster construction so much easier. And for a team that's going to be limited financially, you've got to maximize that. But the second thing, probably the most important thing, is Tyler Stevenson doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to move. He's going to lose so much money if he moves out of catcher. So he's probably your best hitter. You really want to piss off your best hitter and lose his value at the same time?
Brandon Drury would like a word.
Well, Brandon Drury's going to be gone next week. So, good luck,
That
Brandon.
is true. Him and Luis, they'll be gone.
I mean, the things that have happened to Tyler Stevenson this year have
Freak
got to be the most like just the absolute worst timing freak accidents. Because you've got he breaks his thumb, whatever, like. And then you got people that are like, oh, you got to move him, and he has a concussion, and you got to move him. And then like, no, like those are like freak things. And then he breaks his collarbone on a foul ball. Just like, it just happens. Like, what are you going to do about that? And then, of course, you've got everybody that's like, and I admittedly early on was like, maybe you do look at moving him to first base. And then kind of looking into it. And then like, I remember like when you tweeted that out, I was like, started to look at some stuff and I was like, that makes sense. But to the counterpoint argument of that is like, if he's going to be a catcher and always be hurt, like then you have like zero value there.
Yeah. I think it's a good risk, and it's a risk he wants to take too. Again, I would feel totally different if Tyler Stevenson says, I want to move out of catcher. It's a totally different conversation. Mm-hmm. If the doctors themselves are saying he needs to move, it's a totally different conversation. But if neither one of those things are true, I think you got to ride it out. I mean, I guess the optimistic thing is to say, well, it's good that all these fluke injuries happen this year and not, in 2024,
right,
when they actually have a chance. So I don't know. I guess that's the glass half full way of looking at it.
The eternal optimist way.
Goodness. So
all right, Aaron, you can move into the Nick Kirby Trade Machine.
Nick Kirby Trade Machine. So how much time have you spent this season in the trade machine, Nick?
Oh, daily. I send a lot of DMs to Clay. I don't tweet it out anymore because like no one can take any like. So I did one thing for I did one potential trade for late night Red Stock, and it got a ton of traction, but it was like the wild thing is so like it started out all these Reds here saying that's a terrible trade, they're getting nothing back, and then like the Dodgers fans found it and they said, oh, that's a terrible trade, the Dodgers would never give all that up. So I was like, well, I guess I nailed it because I made both sides mad. So I mean, I guess it's a good trade. But so no. But yeah, I spend a lot of time. I just typically don't tweet it out. I spent a lot of time last year, to be honest, with Jesse Weaker looking at his value but I would never tweet it out because I would have got killed.
Nick, I just want you to know that NickKirbyTradeMachine.com is available for a penny, and I'm buying it up right now.
Better get it while it's hot.
That's what Ed's here for.
So what do you got, Nick? What do you? I mean,
well,
let's
first
go with
off,
this. Go down your list of guys you think are going to be gone next week, because you've already said Brandon Drew's going to be gone next week.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my Luis Castillo is my one for sure. I would say my next tier that I'm pretty sure is Drury and Kyle Farmer.
Nick Kirby.
I think Kyle Farmer's more likely to get traded than Tyler Malley.
I mean, what a throw-in that was, right? I mean, he was like the throw-in at the end of at the bottom of the Homer Bailey trade.
Yeah, I think Kyle Farmer. I love Kyle Farmer. I don't understand why he gets so much crap. The funny thing about Kyle Farmer is how the tide has turned. Like, the Reds should trade Kyle Farmer because they're not competing. But if the Reds were competing right now, is there any rational take that would say that Kyle Farmer shouldn't be the starting shortstop? Like, there's no way you could make a case that Barrero should be playing over him if the Reds were competing, right? Isn't that wild how things have flipped in a year?
I mean, I've been a Kyle Farmer stan from jump. Like, when he was thrown in, I was actually like, okay, I went and looked it up. I'm like, okay, he's actually like, that's a good dude. He's versatile. You know, we haven't, at the time, I don't think we really had much of we'd never had really like a utility guy that was like worth a damn.
That was also a catcher.
And so I was like, right, exactly. So I'm like, look, like, this guy he can catch, you know, he can play in the field. And then, like, my favorite stat to throw out at people when they're like, he's an awful shortstop, he should never be there, he's actually a catcher. And I'm like, you realize he has the fielding percentage record at Georgia at shortstop. Like, he's the best shortstop they've had at Georgia. So, like, he knows what he's doing there, and it's very clear. And yeah, he was up and down, and then he had, like, you know, obviously he changed my name. He had a fantastic was it July? Was it July where he like really like took off at the plate last year?
Yeah,
the same time Joey Votto did.
He had a good September too.
Right. So, and I know that like the popular hashtag was Nick Kirby hates Kyle Farmer.
That was so wild because I wanted the Reds to go get Trevor Story last year, and it turned out like Nick Kirby hates Kyle Farmer, but then it didn't happen. I was like, okay, whatever. And then everyone wanted Jose Barrero caught up, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not so sure I would just hand the reins over to a prospect in the middle of like a pennant chase. Kyle Farmer's been fine. And like, so it like completely flipped. And so I just pissed everyone off, which is typically what I do online. So
I mean, like, and like, as far as Barrero goes, since you brought him up, like, how awful of a spot is he kind of in? Because, I mean, Ellie De La Cruz is kind of like running up behind him, and you know, he's not really doing anything for them to be like, you know, let's bring Barrero up now and, you know, get him some starts up here and see what he can do. Because he's, last I checked, which wasn't like super recent ago, but like within the last couple of weeks, like, he wasn't really doing so hot down in the minor leagues. Barrero,
yeah,
I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he had an injury, so look, I'm not giving up on the guy by any stretch of the imagination. And I think they just need to trade Kyle Farmer now, just, you know, because you do need to see what you got in Barrero. And Farmer's going to become too expensive next year. Now that he's played shortstop a whole year, he's already over like $3.5 million. He's going to be probably in the $5-6 million range. For where the Reds are at, I don't see how they could spend that much on Farmer. And I think he has some trade value at where he's at right now. So I think you got to capitalize on that now. And you know, hey, that's awesome. That is crazy that Kyle Farmer has trade value. I would have never thought that at the beginning of last year. And, you know, good for him. And there's a lot of teams that could use that. A guy that can play multiple positions, play shortstop at a capable level, and destroys left-handed pitching. Absolutely destroys. I mean, it's not a fluke at this point. Like, he destroys left-handed pitching.
So who else you got on the guys that are going to be gone?
Real quick, did you guys know that Kyle Farmer was in the movie The Blind Side?
I did. Listen to the Jim Day podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it the Jim Day podcast? I was literally just searching Kyle Farmer, and it came up. He was the quarterback right here. So that's interesting.
How about that?
And that's my information.
Thanks, Ed.
Back to me.
My next category would be Malley, probably all on his own. Malley's kind of interesting because the I don't know if you guys heard, the qualifying offer sounds like it's going to continue. So I don't know if a guy like Tyler Malley, if the Reds aren't, I think they're shopping him for sure, and I think they should be shopping him. But I wonder if the Reds aren't getting that package return that they are looking for, if they think about, hey, maybe we'll keep Tyler Malley, reassess in the offseason, where his value is. Maybe he has a big second half and increases his value. Hard to see how, he would really increase his value just because he would lose, that second, that, pennant chase run. But the fact that worst case scenario, if you just hold on to him, and maybe thinking about extending him, but even if you lose him, you could still qualify or offer him next year and get a really high quality draft pick, which might not be all that big of a gap between what the return is. I don't know. I don't know what teams are offering. They have to kind of weigh all that in, but that's what's kind of throwing me a wrench about Malley, is that the qualifying offer coming back. So, and then the next tier would be like guys like Pham and Solano and Naquin. I think Naquin, as much as I love him, and I think he's done a great job for the Reds, I think he's probably like a giveaway piece. I don't think they're going to really get anything for him. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because you do have guys like even the Stuart Fairchilds that, hey, you know what? Why not give those guys a run? I don't know. Naquin's 31, has a lot of injury concerns. I don't know about like an extension for him unless it's really cheap. Solano, man, I really like him. Again, if someone's offering anything substantial, yeah, I think you got to move him, but if not, he's a guy I guess could, kind of fill a gap. He's a guy I'd love to see back next year on the exact same contract if he's willing to sign it again, because he's going to be like 35. But man, he's been an awesome hitter. I wish this guy would have been healthy all year. That's probably all. I don't know. Maybe a guy like Jeff Hoffman, although he's hurt right now. I don't know. Maybe he gets into some discussions. I don't think they're going to move Moustakas. I think if they do, they're going to get crushed. So I don't know.
We referred to Moustakas, I think it was last week or the week before, as a trade anchor. Like if you put him in a trade, we know what it's for. It's to get rid of the contract, and at that point, you're kind of making the return. Whatever, you're not getting anything back.
You're diminishing your return.
You're not going to be building your farm system like you need to be doing by capitalizing on the value of, obviously, Castillo. Like, that's a no brainer. You bring up Farmer. Yeah, it would suck, like, fan popularity wise, probably to trade Kyle Farmer with a lot of people, but he's never going to be more valuable to the team than he is probably as a trade piece right now. So yeah, it's kind of similar to like a Winker situation. Not that I think that like Kyle Farmer's going to fall off the face of the planet or whatever, like, but he's going to be more expensive. And right now you're looking at building your team towards 2024 seems to be what everybody is talking about. Clay brought 2024 up the first time that we had him on right after the trades happened. But yeah, I think you've probably hit the nail on the head with a lot of those there, Nick Kirby.
The only thing that I could like be fine with Moustakas is if you get a good deal for like a Castillo or even a Malley, and Mike Moustakas is thrown in, and where the Reds are eating the majority of the money. So maybe it's the Reds getting what they want, and then asking, hey, we'll pay all of Mike Moustakas' contract, except you're going to pay that $4 million buyout in 2024. I would love to just get Mike Moustakas off the team and have other guys that can play. Again, that would be my only say is have some. If you see Mike Moustakas' name listed in a trade, make sure you look how much are the Reds paying of that, because there's no way the Reds are going to get someone to pay all of it. Look at how much money it is. If it's like a couple $1 million, that probably didn't kill the return. It was probably just the Reds getting, something to sweeten the the deal. Maybe you get 2 deals and they're both like comparable and they're both like kind of what you want, and say, hey, you take $4 million for Mike Moustakas in 2024. And, again, that's a year we're thinking the Reds are probably looking at being more aggressive spending, and $4 million can help. So I would look at the money first before, you want to punch your wall.
I don't want to see him involved in anything. I want them to eat this contract every day that he's on the contract for having signed the contract, then crying poor. I don't want them to just trade, eat the contract, pay somebody else to take like that. I don't know. Like you deserve to have to look at him every day. You did this. Is there anybody that you didn't include on your list that if you were Nick Krall, you would be looking to move?
I don't know if I'm brave enough, but
put yourself out there, Nick.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you would have a conversation with Votto if he's willing to, go somewhere else and do the waive his trade.
Get out. Unless we're trading Joey Votto to a team that is winning a World Series this year or next year because he deserves a World Series ring, get out.
Well, then that's the only team he'd be getting traded to. Would be a team that thinks they can win a World Series, right?
Then okay, that's fair. You can stay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's I guess maybe a conversation. I mean, he's again. It's just what do we think the Reds are going to be doing next year? So I don't know. I mean, it probably would hurt, but. And it might be the right thing to do for the Reds and for Votto. I don't know. I don't really know on that. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I guess that's the only other player that can really, I'm thinking, I guess maybe like a Matt Reynolds, but I just don't see like any of those other guys really having any more value.
Well, if anybody
Nick Senzel.
I mean, I wouldn't trade him now. I mean, I'd ride out and see what you got. I just think you'd be selling super
If we
low.
don't trade him now, he will be broken into a million pieces by next season because he's a what do they call those things? Fragile doll or something.
I mean, sure. If a team is offering you something of substantial value for Senzel, then sure. But I don't see that.
I guess really the question is,
I'll take a large La Rosa's pizza for him.
Who's off limit? Does the team have anybody that you would say like that's absolutely off limits? Like regardless of what like somebody's offering, like those guys are off limits.
I mean, I would never say anyone's completely off limits because I mean, like again, if someone offers you the world for Jonathan India, okay, well, sure, maybe I'm considering it, but I mean, I would say like. Almost certainly off limits would be India, Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, Stevenson. The other guys that could be, it would be like Luis Cessa or Lucas Sims would have been potential guys that maybe dealt with. They're both hurt. So, and those are really probably the only guys I would say are probably as close to off limits as you could have.
So. What do you think the odds are that the Reds come away with what we look back 2-3 years from now on this Luis Castillo trade that you think is all but done at some point, not knowing what team he's going to, but he's gone. Good as gone. Do you think they come out successful?
It's a hell of a question. Man, it's so hard because it's, I mean, you can make what the industry views as a perfect trade and it blows up. I mean, there's been plenty. You could look through trade deadline histories of trades that the industry said was great at the time and it looked terrible. And then you could look at trades that everyone thought were bad trades and they turn out to be great, like every trade Tampa's ever made.
Well, like Dan Straley for Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
At the time, nobody heralded that trade as something that was going to put the Reds in this position, going back to Johnny Cueto, who I believe was traded on this day. I think I saw that somewhere today. But that trade was hot garbage. So I don't know where are you leaning? And of course, as the eternal optimist, I'm sure you're leaning that they take care of business. But
I mean, I would say it's probably like 60-40 it works out just because of the type of player that Castillo's getting back. But I mean, there's plenty of quality prospects that don't pan out. So, I mean, I would say with Castillo, it's more likely than not that what you get back turns out to be, good. The other ones are really probably more of a coin flip. Some are going to be less. Like the Brandon Drury returns, probably maybe 20% that player turns out to be a good player that you get back. But I still think that's a good lottery ticket type number for the Reds, sure, because you need people can say, well, that guy's only 20%. Well, if you keep getting guys that are 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, then you're going to have a couple that actually do pan out.
One of five is going to work out, right?
Yeah, with prospects and all that kind of stuff, it's more about quantity, really. Sometimes the quality, just having as many good or solid ones or ones with upside as you can, and because the numbers say some of these guys are going to work, some of these guys aren't.
Fair. That's fair.
Jeff, what other while we have Nick on the hot seat, and he's given us a little bit more than just the optimistic side. I like the dark side of Nick Kirby.
Dog.
I'll say real quick. So sometimes, I just don't like to join the noise. Like sometimes I'm just like, I'm not going to tweet something out. Like there's a lot of times I start to tweet something, I just go, nah, it's not worth it. I'm not, I'm not going to.
Weird.
Yeah. So I delete a lot of tweets. I started tweeting. Yeah. You know what? I've come a long way in this. I used to just tweet whatever was on my mind. And now I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what? Is this adding any value to the world? Nope.
Would you say that's like due to I don't know, growing up and maturity?
That, and then also you just get so much shit if and also it's also kind of weird, and I don't know, I don't want to say this and sound, I don't know, douchey, but I've started getting players' wives that follow me. So just, I guess people think there's so many people that I get questions, I get direct message, do you know if the bridge is open for parking? I'm like, dude, I live in Cleveland. I don't cover the Reds. so sometimes I don't want to again, I'm I try to think, if that person saw that tweet, they go on Twitter and you're bashing my son, So sometimes it's about that too. And, I leave that to just, texting Clay and,
I wish I could remember who the player was, but Clay took a swipe at a guy last year, and now
it was the center fielder. He was up and then he ended up in Japan.
And
Scott Heineman.
There it is.
The legend.
Yeah. And then he came back with a vengeance on Clay, and then Clay, I guess, told him shouldn't you be getting ready to take the field in Japan or something because it's the middle of the night or.
I won't say the player's name, but there's a player that's in the Reds Hall of Fame that I don't think is deserving in the Reds Hall of Fame. And I tweeted about it once, and his kids found the tweet and came at me. And that was when I was kind of this is stupid. Man, I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm not trying to really bash your dad or whatever, but that's kind of I don't want to I would hate if that was my dad, I went on Twitter and there's some doofus named Nick Kirby tweeting my dad doesn't belong in the Reds Hall of Fame. So again, that's kind of why sometimes I just don't want to add to the noise. I'm a pretty positive and optimistic person, but I do, I can dabble in the negative side.
Kick Nerby doesn't know what he's talking about. Rah!
So I don't tweet anyone who doesn't belong in the Reds Hall of Fame anymore.
It's probably sound advice.
As far as since this is kind of wrapping back to the beginning of this whole conversation, are the opportunities that you've been kind of afforded here, experiences that you've had since you've kind of started the podcast game, and then coming to, because I'll tell you, like, when you were in Boston and you popped up on the TV, and then like they're like, that's Nick Kirby from, I was like, that's pretty damn cool. That's big time. That's big time Nick Kirby right there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I never, kind of expected that, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm just like most other people. I like the Reds. I try to stay positive. For me, like, I got 2 young kids. Like, I don't need to spend all day being mad about a baseball team. And I used to be that guy. And not to keep harping on this, but in 2012, I could not stand Dusty Baker because I really kind of got into the analytical side, and I realized how just against the grain that went. And to be honest, a lot of that season, I was just like so upset that I didn't really like take the time to enjoy it. And I don't know, at some point, like during the rebuild, like in 2018 or something, I was like, man, if the Reds are ever like competitive again, like I'm not going to be complaining about stupid things. So I don't know. I try to stay positive. Me being mad about it's not going to change anything. So it's just going to make me worked up for no good reason and be in a sour mood.
I mean, getting worked up is what got Mike Minor signed by the masses. So congratulations, Reds.
One time, Andy Furman called me a clown on Twitter.
Did you deserve it?
No,
probably
so.
100%.
What did you say for that?
Yeah,
I found it. It was December 13th, 2012. He just said, "Who is this clown, Ed Mayhaw?" 7:30 a.m.
Why did he?
7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
What was your tweet to him?
It's not on here anymore. It must have been an old tweet. Like it must have been old. It must have been like an old account that I had.
Burner.
Can't believe somebody tweeted.
It was 2012. What year was the Bearcats fight? And what year did we kick your ass in the crosstown shootout?
Didn't Xavier win that game?
Yeah, well, I mean, they won the game. They didn't win the fight.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, unreal. So was that your first time hanging out with everybody, like in person this weekend?
It was the first time I ever met Carlos, and actually the first time I ever met Clay too in person. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I met Tim several times before. Yeah, it was first time, and met a lot of other people, and that's really cool. So, yeah.
I mean, have you ever actually seen him and Jeff Carr in the same room though?
Yes. The time I came in May, they were both standing next to each other. Okay. So
just wanted to make sure that was indeed a thing.
Do you want to know the story behind that?
I mean, yeah. You can see the story behind that as they look the same.
Oh, so we were at Holy Grail, and we were talking with Sarah Elise, and she looked over and told her husband. She said, "Oh, that's Jeff Carr over there," and it was Tim. And so we had some good fun with that all weekend. that Sarah Elise thought
that was this weekend. She thought he was Jeff Carr. Or was that like? Oh, okay.
It was this weekend. Yeah, he was. And Tim was kind of had his head turned, and like they both have the beard and. Jeff Carr would probably be the kind of guy that'd be hanging out with us at, Holy Grail, shooting it. So, yeah, it was funny. We had some good fun with it.
That's awesome.
Nice. So what's next then for Nick Kirby? What do you have on the docket? On the docket. What else do you have? Guests coming up. This is your time to brag on yourself for an audience of largely Bearcat fans that may tune into a Xavier Guys baseball podcast.
Why do you gotta make me the Xavier guy? Like, I don't even tweet about that.
Every time lights are blue in the background. I was gonna say every time I look at you, I just need the blue lights. You did this to yourself, man.
I got a red shirt on. Come on, man.
Which is why you're the Xavier baseball guy.
Which is weird because I saw Tim at the TBT tournament and I did not see you.
Yeah,
you weren't there for that?
Yeah, it was during the week. I got 2 kids.
Big fan.
He's in Cleveland, Ed.
I got 2 kids too.
Cleveland.
Your drive there is like 10 minutes. His drive there is like 4.5 hours.
My lovely wife let me come down Friday through Sunday. Wednesday through Sunday, that would have been really pushing it.
I just have a love for my team.
But anyways, we have a huge guest coming on the show tomorrow night. We have Clay Snowden coming on the show. So
What
we're
the
excited
hell?
about that. Yeah.
Fucking Clay Snowden won't come on our show anymore.
We have to let him know quicker than day of, Ed. He put that in the text chat.
It's in writing. It's in writing. And
Well,
Clay's in like 6,000 weddings this summer too. So dude's in a wedding.
Including his own.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question, Nick Kirby. Did you get a invite to that wedding?
I did not.
Neither did we.
I honestly though, Clay probably did that. You know, I don't know if he probably did or not, but Clay knows I hate going to weddings. So I don't hate going to weddings. I hate spending money on weddings. So he honestly probably did that as a favor. I'm gonna say that's what it is.
We told him we were going to do a live podcast from the wedding. So
I'll tune in. I'll support from afar.
just crash it with us. Come on down.
Yeah, none of us were invited either.
Yeah.
We can crash it. It's in Louisville, right? Lexington, Louisville, something. I don't know.
Kentucky. Yeah. It's all the same, right?
Kentucky. It's all the same. Yeah. We'll just show up in Paducah and hope that's where it's at.
That's probably not it. So you got Clay's note on this week. You got any other big names coming up?
You know what? I will announce it here. Haven't announced it anywhere yet. But today, me and Carlos interviewed the Reds.
Carlos and I.
Carlos. Wow.
Wow.
Grammar Ed.
That's a new hat he's wearing. The grammar hat is not one that he normally wears.
Well, it's a championship hat.
Stop it, Ed.
It says grammar champion.
Yeah.
But yeah, we interviewed the Reds amateur scouting director. Oh my gosh, I had said his name right, Joe. I can't say his last name. Anyways, we have him. We did an interview with him. We're probably going to release that on Thursday night.
Is it in video and
video and podcast? So we'll be posting about that on the Late Reds account and talking about it tomorrow night. But a really cool interview. Gave a lot of insight into the draft. So look for that.
All right, well,
Joe Katuska.
Katuska. Yeah, that's how you say it. I it took me like 6 times to get it. So
Ed, who are you right now? Katuska. Correcting people on grammar and pronunciation?
He couldn't remember the name. I didn't correct his pronunciation. I just helped him with the last name.
You took your medicine today, didn't you?
I took it yesterday. Ooh, yesterday. That's a hard word.
That's why we love Ed.
So we do hope to get that crossover episode before the Red season is over, where late night meets Pardon the Punctuation, perhaps with Clay guest starring as the special stand-in referee.
Clay will come in for there.
Why? This is he came to my baby shower.
I know. I sat with him and talked.
Yeah.
We didn't get any pictures together.
I think I have one. I think I have one actually with all of us. I'll see. I'll check my phone.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, congrats on all the success. Congrats on a podcast that Sadak brags about. I'm a little jealous. I will say that. But you've become a face among the fans that the fans know and recognize. You've always been good to us, so we did want to do this with you before we had the crossover. No knock on the other guys, but we've had a little bit more of a intimate relationship with you than we have with Carlos or Tim. So yeah, that's the word, Ed. That means more personable. It doesn't have to be in the bedroom.
Yeah, grammar guy.
Although I did hear that Nick
the blue nude lights back there, and
I did hear that Nick was sharing secrets with Clay in the bathroom. I don't know what that was all about, but I did hear that.
On that note, jerseys. I can think of no better note to let you go, Nick. Again, thank you for your time with us tonight.
Thank you.
We'll do this again real soon. Hopefully we got the whole gang when we're doing it again. Maybe we'll do a home and home or however we have to do it in order for everybody to get the views that they're looking for. But
we'll send you over a contract.
We appreciate it all the same. If there is a pandemic, though, we do expect you to honor the visiting team not getting hosed and all, or the home team not getting hosed and all of that, much like that team over in Norwood. But
yeah, stand with John Brandon, right?
Get out of here. Get out of here. We call him the previous regime here. Get out of here.
Previous regime, dude. We'll talk about
not
him
be
on this
named.
podcast.
That's what that is.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, bud.
That's it.
That was a fun one. We do appreciate Nick Kirby again joining the show.
Who's playing with coins?
Hold on. I'm out.
Not me.
Ed, can you
Oh, sorry.
made it worse.
Can you at least just tell me where you want things to be?
Where they always are.
Just
Go
go
up
on.
it-
You
go up
think
to
I
the
can
other-
remember back to last week?
Go up to the other. There it is. This is how it was. This is how it was forever. And then last week you like changed things, and it throws me off. My brain doesn't function well when things are different.
I liked the darker side of Nick, where he didn't
Where
get
he
too,
wa-
he didn't get too in the weeds, but he did he did end up giving us a little different side than his standard Twitter side.
What's Geoff talking about? I would have been yelled at.
When Jeff disappeared.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
FC
Cincinnati.
Mid, that is our next segment. FC Mid Cincinnati. They did tie another game. Congratulations on being mid. Moving on.
I like how when that happened, I didn't even know they were playing a game, and Ed sent a text and just said, "We tied again."
That's got to be so defeating to not win and not lose.
It sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks.
because you know what's coming from both Jeff and I every time.
And then I saw a tweet that was like, I saw like FC Cincinnati's like logo, and then like they won, and I was like, oh man. And then I looked, and it's like their like farm team. There's an FC Cincinnati 2.
There's an FC 72, but I would never tweet about them.
I love how in tune with the three of us Geoff truly is. It's out of control.
Geoff, you want to come on the pod?
If you do, you have to ask Ed for permission to talk. Just put it out there.
All right, so let's be real. Again, done with the soccer. So the Cincinnati Bengals, they opened up camp, and Joe Burrow, biggest
we suck again.
Biggest news out of camp thus far. Joe Burrow apparently had a case of appendicitis, or at least some preventative type of measure to where his appendix is being removed. So my guess is he's going to still play some games in the preseason. People who are saying that he's not going to play games in the preseason, that's not the type of recovery time that your appendix being removed.
I think it's like, I mean, like barring any kind of like crazy complications, it's like what, like a 2-week like
maybe
downtime kind of thing. Like,
I mean, you don't want to be,
and that's for folks that aren't in like, you know,
pristine athletic condition. Right.
Probably about 3 weeks for me.
That's good, because that means that the backup, if anything happened, is going to have some type of
knowledge.
I mean,
reps.
Yeah, that'd be nice
with, reps with the ones, right?
Yeah.
Like just getting them in some type of communication with the ones is not a bad thing. Joe will be just fine. I can't imagine that he hasn't been. I mean, don't him, T, and Jamar live in the same neighborhood anyway?
I mean, I'm not worried about like whatever it is, and obviously some people are making it out to be like, they're like, oh, didn't we say that he was finally gonna have like a normal off season? And it's like,
I did.
He played like what? When they ended up playing like 20 games last year, something crazy. Like
a normal off season for the Bengals would have been starting about 3 or 4 weeks earlier than it did. So I think we actually didn't have a normal offseason because they were in the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's fair.
I mean, it's not like this is something that's gonna like, you know, like set him back on, you know, it's not like he came back from knee surgery and then he had like a setback in his recovery from that. Like he's having what is now a fairly minor procedure.
I've had it.
It's like outpatient, isn't it? Like they don't keep you
same day. No,
It's
no.
in and out.
If they keep you, it's because there's something actually wrong
So
outside of your appendix.
I did see a concern being addressed by our good friends at LFG Shirts.
No, don't even say it. Don't say it. I saw the tweet. Don't say it. Just direct people. If they want to look at it, they can go over to LFG Cincy on Twitter and read it, because we're not putting that out into the world.
We're not putting that in the universe. Okay, never mind.
Nope.
You know what?
They
Check
already
out
did it.
LFG Cincy.
We're not doubling down on it. I will shout them out because they sent us some shirts one time.
Glad I didn't look.
Yeah, don't
want that. I don't need that negativity in my life, apparently.
I don't need that bad juju.
Nope.
So bigger news for the Bengals. There was a helmet release.
Yo.
And that came, a day after we recorded last week, that they dropped the helmet release and the Ring of Honor inductees, I believe, was within a day or two as well. The video that they put together this morning and released at 10:30, where it was
is incredible.
The storytelling of the three first off, Jeff, Ed, who were the three Bengal princes that they were essentially referring to?
I don't know.
Do you think there were three actual princes?
I don't know, but I know the one that they were talking about when then it flipped open and there was our good buddy Chad Ochocinco. That was pretty dope.
The whole
the
whole fairy tale was absolutely stunning.
The ancient wizard that put a curse on it. I mean, the way that I heard it, I see where you're going with that, being like saying Shrek or whatever, but I was getting Game of Thrones / Lord of the Rings vibes.
Yeah.
I've never seen either one of those.
The only thing that was weird was when they did the white tiger putting in his application or whatever.
Yeah, that was weird. That kind of broke the mold of what they were the
mysticism of the whole thing. What that was.
I don't know. I haven't really broken it down, watching whatever, but I'm gonna go back and watch it again and try to see what they were trying to
do there.
Yeah, because
it seemed wildly out of place compared to the rest of.
Because the ancient wizard, I mean, they're clearly hitting the top of the NFL there, and I mean I think it's awesome. Kind of stepping outside to I haven't really seen a lot of the other teams obviously that have released their alternate helmets.
I've never seen an NFL team drop a video,
but a video
quite
like that to go in with it. And then
last year they did those videos with the schedule release. Wasn't it the NFL?
But wasn't that across the board though? A lot of teams.
Yeah, they all did the same theme. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was all animated.
Yeah, the animations for for the schedule.
Yeah,
at the beginning of last year, it was pretty neat. But as far as this goes, this is obviously one that it didn't need to happen. I didn't know I needed it. But when I saw it this morning, I was like, oh, what is this? Because I know I forget his name. It's Seth something, the guy that I guess is in charge of some of their stuff there. Because he was after they dropped the helmet, he was we have a few more reveals to go.
Yeah, I did remember seeing that. Yeah.
So, and then he obviously, and let me tell you, there's a lot of people that I saw comment on it oh, they're going back to the color. I think the color rush uniforms work. I mean, this helmet, I think they would have brought this helmet out when they released the color rush uniforms if they could have, but they weren't allowed. Because those color rush uniforms, they have just a little pop of orange for the B in the center. The helmets still have the the orange B in the front. There's a little bit of orange, I believe, around the nameplates and the numbers. I just think the way the color blocking on it with the arms being like black sleeves rolling up into, I just think that those uniforms fit the White Tiger helmet better than if they went with their current all white uniforms, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I saw when they got to that point and they're like, they turned the page and there was Chad Johnson in like the full deal, there is like, that's it.
I thought it was fantastic. I'm really happy that they didn't end up going with the throwback Bengals. Like, I'm ready to leave.
Like this,
I'm ready to leave all of that back in the past and move on to a new future. And I just don't know that the Bengals' storied history is one that you really want to look back on.
What I did like? I do like to see that the leaping, whatever you want to call it, the leaping tiger has been like getting pushed out there a little bit more. Like, I want it back on the field,
on the 50-yard line where it should be, and get rid of.
I bet it will. I bet at least for the White Tiger games, I bet you it is at the middle of the field.
But is it going to be a white? Is it going to be a White Tiger?
Oh yeah.
So, did you guys know this color combination has been done before?
Black and white, sure, by lots of people.
No, in Cincinnati.
Oh, you're going with your Jungle Cats.
In 2007, the Jungle Cats, owned by Sam Adams, Ken Griffey Jr., and Dr. Krimchek, had these jerseys. Now, of course, I'm so glad we did not put the snout on the front of the.
No, those helmets are terrible.
That looks like the Wish.com
When you order that color rush on DHgate, that's what you're gonna get.
No, it's not. I've never been disappointed with anything from DHgate.
But I will also say
that is Wish.com. That's the Wish.com White Tiger uniform right there.
They had to. The players, the offense, the defense had to trade helmets as they were coming on and off the field during that game. So
because they only had one set.
Yeah,
those helmets are terrible. The stripes are terrible. The stripes on the shoulder pads are terrible.
Was that team any good?
No.
And
they didn't even finish the season, did they? Because I think they went bankrupt.
I think they did finish the season, but afterward, the next season they went bankrupt.
Which is crazy considering the people who were backing them.
Well, yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, the color rush coming back, I think is. I know that you love the color rush. We don't know that we necessarily needed the color rush because I think the white jerseys would have looked just fine with the helmets. I still honestly hope that they pair them up at some point. Like, I don't think you need the color rush for 3 games.
No.
I would like to see maybe one with the color rush and then one with the white jerseys. Like, give me both.
I think they can do that. They can do alternate color rush or like they're away. They can't do it with a home. So the only way they can, I guess, the only way that they could wear them, the white helmets at home, would be obviously like the alternate or color rush.
Yes.
So I don't think then that we could see the black jersey combo with the white.
I don't know
that would look like how that would work.
Well,
like
but you also can't wear the alternate, the orange, the all orange.
With the white helmet?
First off, I don't think that would look very good.
No, it wouldn't.
But second, I think you only get 3 games to wear alternate uniforms at all outside of your standard home and away. So if you want to wear the orange, that counts as one of your 3 games. So this is going to be, so maybe you get like one color rush, one white jersey with the white helmet,
and then an orange game,
and then an orange game. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, they went 15, 1-15 that year. They had 1 win, 15 losses.
The Jungle Cats.
The Jungle Cats.
Who'd they beat, Ed?
I have not a clue.
But
you want to jump on for a second, or?
Everything good over there?
Yep.
Who is it?
Carrie.
Carrie, jump on.
Hi, Carrie.
She doesn't want to. She's afraid you're going to talk over her.
We have
It's past her bedtime, she said.
Dog.
It's my favorite.
Outside of that, though, the inductees for the Bengals Ring of Fame or what do they call it? Is it the
Ring of Honor.
Ring of
Ring of
Honor.
Honor.
There we go.
I think it's Ring of Honor.
It is.
The 2022 edition is going to include Willie Anderson and why am I blanking on the second name?
I just blanked too.
You just blanked all of us. Did you use a Men in Black device here?
I guess.
I had it in my head, and then he went like this. I was like, "Oh, what happened?" And then it's gone.
This is
Isaac Curtis.
There it is.
There.
Lord. I like to see them honoring the old guys, of course, with Isaac Curtis. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Geoff. We're not good at this job, apparently.
Yeah.
As all three of us blanked at the same time.
It's
10:30.
I think it was because it was this look of like we were flowing, and then you said, and you're like, and it just deleted everything out of my mind.
I froze. Isaac Curtis, excellent pick. Willie Anderson. I mean, he's the guy that probably out of all of the Bengals, past, present, future, should be in the Hall of Fame next. Obviously you can make the argument for the Kens, Ken Anderson, Ken Riley. I think Willie got a bad rap just for being a Bengal. Any other team?
That's happened. I think that happens quite a bit, unfortunately.
Any other team, and I think that he's already.
How are they picking those? Are they still like season ticket holders still getting like a pretty massive vote in that?
Yep. So
I think that's as it should be.
Who do you think then? I mean,
you think next year is like?
You have to imagine next year's Chad Johnson,
like Boomer and Chad probably get.
Yeah, probably a Boomer Chad combination.
Are there any like
sleepers?
Yeah, like
Max Montoya.
Question, and I know he's retiring as an LA Ram, but like, would you put Whitworth in the Ring of Honor in the future? Not
absolutely.
Like
eventually. Yeah,
okay.
I think Andy Dalton's going to be in the Ring of Honor eventually.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I would agree with
Carson?
that too. I saw somebody.
Carson should be.
Carson.
I saw somebody put like Andy Dalton out there, like throw his name out, like obviously not this year, but like whatever. Like, you think he should be? And it's like, I mean, I think if you break it down, you look at it for really what it was, like absolutely.
Oh, I think so too. I just didn't know if there's some sort of like rule that they had to finish their careers.
No. It's. I mean, the Reds Hall of Fame, you don't have that. The Bengals Ring of Honor,
that's fair. That's fair.
But no, I think that you're going to see plenty of guys that we grew up watching with TJ, AJ, Dylan. I think a lot of these guys will eventually get in. I think they should have.
He had 3 years here, but I mean, he was on top when he unfortunately passed away.
That one's tough because I think
that is a tough one.
You got a lot of people to get through before you get to him.
Yes, I believe that too. I think you got a whole slew of people to get through first.
I'd put Levi Jones in before I put Chris Henry in. But yeah, there will be plenty of conversations about guys' future Ring of Honor.
God,
that's a perfect placement.
I do like the fact that they're like sticking with like 2 a year, right? Like,
yeah, because you don't overdo it.
Like, they didn't come in last year and say like, look, we're opening this up, and we want to put like
first year should have been like 4-6 guys to get this ball rolling.
I think so too. Yeah.
See, like I
because right now you have like 2 names out there. It's kind of dull, empty. I guess. Empty.
So you think like they should have started with like 10?
No, not 10. But he said 4. Maybe I think 4 would probably be the max for the first year, right?
I think then like
you're playing catch up on a game that everybody else has been doing for a long time.
For a while.
That's fair, but everybody else has been doing it for a long time and getting their like, can you not do that? And getting their their names up there, but like those guys get like the recognition they deserve, right? By only putting 2 in at a time. Like they did 4. Did they do 4 last year? I don't even remember.
I thought it was just Ken and Ken.
Actually, now that Chad says it, I think they do 4.
I think they announced
Ken
them in
Anderson,
two.
Paul
they
Brown,
announced
Anthony
them
Munoz, and Ken Riley.
yeah.
But they did it. They like announced 2, and then they were like, "There's then
Two more.
two
Yeah.
more." They did that. Okay, that's fair. But still,
That's all right.
minimizing the number that they do each year, I think is good. Where it's not like this year they're not saying like you have to get whatever.
We shouldn't be catching up in clusters.
It's not like Hall of Fame. Like you got to have like this percentage of the vote to get in, and then all of a sudden you've got like you're putting 20 names up there. You're putting 15 names up there in one go.
Yeah, so now that I remember that there is 4, I'm cool. 2 a year, yeah, because we'll catch up. I mean, next year we'll have 8 up there, so it'll be fine.
The other thing is like you don't want to like dilute it and end up with like you've put all these guys up, and now you're like, well, we put guys in this year because you got to think that at some point there's going to be years where they're like,
Jeff,
we're not putting anybody up.
This franchise is just celebrated 50 years.
So it's Kings Island.
50 years of history to go through to get your Hall of Famers. I mean,
yeah, but a lot of those years weren't like a lot of those years were, I mean, lack of a better word, mid, and so there's not really guys from there that you would, right? Like, name somebody from the '92 team that you would put up there.
Name somebody from the '92 team, Ed.
Good question.
Boomer.
Oh, what's Boomer? I was going to say Boomer because I remember him reading me a book at Forest Fair Mall.
You're welcome. I'm here for you.
I don't know. I like the 2 for 2.
I don't think Darnay Scott was quite there yet in '92.
No, he wasn't. Carl Pickens was on that team. Tim McGee.
Okay, there's two. All right, you proved me wrong.
Anthony Munoz was on that team.
I wondered if Munoz.
I thought Munoz was on that team too. Right after I said the '92 team, I was like,
he was like, I should have
picked that. I should have picked that.
Should have gone like '97. '97 was David Klingler, Achilles Smith. Like, what am I doing?
Jeff Blake.
Corey Dillon was on that team. Shit. Oh.
Can we just go back to the episode where Aaron listed off every single Cincinnati Bengals quarterback there ever was? Like,
I probably blacked out in that episode.
David Klingler was drafted that year.
All right, that's fair.
Bruce Kozerski was on that team. Tim Krumrie was on that team.
What about the kicker? Doug Pelfrey.
Jim Breach was on that team.
There's a guy.
Damn.
David Fulcher was on that team.
It's a good question.
Yes, you put Chris Collinsworth in. He was. Yes, absolutely. You put Collinsworth in.
Oh, but he doesn't like the city anymore.
It has nothing to do with it. He doesn't have to come back for the ceremony. You just put his name up because he did some shit for your team.
All right.
Same reason Puig should be a Reds Hall of Famer.
One season?
The portrait says it all.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. We should just put that portrait up somewhere in the Reds Hall of Fame.
The Louvre.
Right next to the Amir Garrett one. and then like a short video clip that you click and it shows Brandon Phillips tapping Molina on his shin guard and then that fight kicking off.
Yes, Chad, Chris Collinsworth is still your neighbor.
Yeah, his son played for CovCaf, I think, right? Something like that.
Maybe. Don't know. Oh. But yeah, so storylines for Bengals camp as it opens this week, because we've drifted further away from that conversation.
I have more questions for you about the stadium. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait until after your?
Oh, are you talking about the naming
rights? Yeah,
naming of the stadium.
Did you see that Mike Brown said this week that he always thought it was weird that Paul Brown's name was on the stadium? Said his dad wouldn't want his name on the stadium.
I don't believe you. Not you.
Him.
I also saw that he said he wasn't like a super big fan of selling the naming rights, but he sees it as a good way to add revenue.
Yeah, his granddaughter told him, "Dad, we have to do this."
As well they should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably going to end up being like Paycor Field or like.
So that's the question. So what companies?
Ed Mayhall Stadium. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought about PTP Stadium, but couldn't find the application.
It wasn't.
But like, what companies in the city do you think have the buku bucks to do that? Right. So
P&G, GE.
P&G, GE, but right, P&G doesn't really get into
naming rights,
stuff, right?
Amazon.
They're over in Kentucky, but yeah, that's fair. I've heard a lot of people say Paycor.
There's your reason as to why they need to do naming rights. $200 million in escrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good reason. But I've heard people say Paycor. I've heard people say Jeff Weiler, but I don't know he has that money to do it.
He didn't pull like that.
Yeah.
You can say what you want, but no, that ain't it.
Going to be Phil Castellini Field at
Get out of here.
Brown Stadium.
Where else you going to go, stadium?
He's be like, where else you going to go? My other field?
The city would riot.
I don't look if he wants to dump all the money into the Bengals.
I got it. I like the people who say Jungle Gyms, but I don't think Jungle Gyms.
That ain't happening. No shot.
Yeah,
no.
But it would be kind of cool if the Jungle.
I don't know what other places do you think might have a shot? Like I said, I think P&G, GE would be the biggest names in the city. As far as headquarters, U.S. Bank.
What's that?
They're headquartered out of Minneapolis,
Fifth Third.
Fifth Third. I mean, they're pulling out of, or have they already pulled out of?
UC.
That.
What's the name of that company that just built? Well, I guess not just built. It's been a few years now, but they built their building near the convention center. They had a really nice parking garage near the convention center that tells you how many spaces in it. Fahrenheit. They're a marketing company, but they're like big within the city. I mean, they might be able to.
You'd have to be big though.
Yeah, I think they are big. They have a building downtown. Western and Southern.
They do the tennis arena already.
Yeah, they do the tennis one.
What
Kroger?
Hosting the Open. Kroger's got their hand in a lot of stuff already. I'd be surprised if they were trying to pull the trigger on this. I don't know. But certainly an interesting conversation. I think you're going to see Paul Brown somehow. I'm with Geoff. I think they would potentially name the field Paul Brown Field.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think you'd let it die on the
matter of fact. As soon as they said they were naming the stadium, I assumed they would just call the field Paul Brown Field.
That was my immediate thought as well.
SoFi Technologies reportedly paid $400 million over the course of 20 years for the naming rights to that stadium.
Of course, it's LA where they've already hosted a Super Bowl, so you got plenty of marketing in regards to SoFi.
Right. No, I'm just saying, like, obviously that's a fairly
totally different market.
That might actually be the largest one ever. So I mean,
La Rosa's? No.
Did you say La Rosa's?
I was thinking of other like
none of your
Papa
food,
John's Field.
No, none of your food places
Louisville
based in Cincinnati are going to be able to afford anything like that. Papa John's is a national chain. La Rosa's is not a national chain.
Jeff Ruby.
Grader's is not a national chain. Jeff Ruby, I don't think Jeff Ruby could even afford this.
No.
Like,
maybe that's why Holtman's is pulling out of OTR so they can one less building so they can put
that's it. It's going to be Holtman's Donuts. Sure.
Holtman's Donut Stadium.
Those $3 donuts really got them there.
They are like some of
them
are $4.
I am done with this conversation.
Yeah. I'm happy they're doing it. I'm happy they're looking into other revenue streams. Mid-Star Stadium. Thanks, Chad. You've got to do it. if they're going to compete, if they're going to pay these guys long term, I mean, you're looking at guys like, Kyler Murray's getting crazy money. A guy up in Cleveland got crazy money.
Well,
not even play this year.
You get a guy like Joe Burrow, who is of Ohio, and you cannot let him go.
No, and you can't. I mean, you really like. There's some other guys that you're going to have to pay eventually. So you want to keep this. You want to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay more than you're used to, and to do that, you're gonna have to generate some funds. And obviously, like season tickets sold out like pretty quickly. I don't know that season tickets have ever sold out for the Bengals. I'm sure they have, and
they have. It's been a while.
I think the first year the stadium was open, maybe.
Yeah. So you're looking at
and since then,
I mean, things are going to go up. Obviously, things in the state and prices are going to go up. That's just kind of the way things work. But it's a delicate balance of keep the fans happy, keep the fans coming. Put a successful product on the field, and you'll see what you get, which is a city of ravenous fans and national heads talking about your team and what they're doing. And that's all we can ask for. That's all we've ever said on this show is if you're going to own a team, own it to win and do what it takes. And if that means selling the rights to the stadium and that it gets named something goofy, I don't care as long as the team that's in there is winning.
Talking to you, Phil.
Speaking of the product on the field then for the Bengals, what are the big camp storylines that you're looking to follow?
Right now, you've got Kappa and Lyle Collins
injured,
reportedly injured. Collins, I guess, was a back injury from a non-football
related injury. Yeah,
exercise. So like
today his birthday.
But it doesn't seem to be necessarily like I saw the blurb about it. Obviously, like it got put out there that he was hurt, but there really hasn't been like a whole lot of extra stuff out there about it. So nobody seems to be overly concerned. I'll let it play out. Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he just comes and he gets a couple extra reps at the end of preseason, which you kind of expect anyway. And
regardless, I think we're all looking to see how the offensive line gels. I mean, you brought in three big pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to see how those three big pieces can keep your quarterback upright.
Yeah, today was Collins' birthday. Happy birthday, sir.
Nice.
Good work, Ed.
If he's listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a huge piece. Is like they've got to gel together. It'd be nice to get them, as much time, obviously, running through what they need to run through and keep your guy up, because that was a big part of the stumbling that happened with the Bengals last year, directly related to that.
So on the offensive side of the ball, what else are you looking at, Jeff?
I'm very interested to see how much further Burrow can take this, right? Because this is his second full year that he'll have.
Dial it back a second. Dial it back a second, and just camp. Obviously, we all want to see how he progresses during the season.
We're not going to see him in camp.
Not knowing how much time he's going to be off with this appendix, let's look at camp. Because for me, I think the next storyline would probably be, as excited as I am to see the receivers coming back during the season, I think it's, for me, Hayden Hurst at tight end.
I was really excited. I was really high on that little pickup that they got there. And I think that
came at a great price.
I think it's flown under the radar.
Well, it depends on which Hayden Hurst we get. Are we getting Hayden Hurst, who's mad that Kyle Pitts got drafted, as he signed a free agent contract to be in Atlanta? Or are we getting Hayden Hurst, who everybody thought he might be going to Baltimore?
I think the dude's hungry.
He should be.
Think about this. He just got.
He's 30. I mean, he was drafted at 26 years old or something like that. He was old for.
He's 28.
You just got an opportunity to play along. You just get signed by a team is coming off a Super Bowl run.
Correct.
That undoubtedly overachieved last year as far as like what was expected, right? Because we would have all, to be fair, everybody in Cincinnati would have been happy to say the Bengals won and they snuck in the playoffs, right? Like you'd have been like, man, that's amazing. And then as the season went on, it was like, oh, maybe we might be able to win a playoff game, right? And then so like you got a guy who's coming in, you know, he's getting an opportunity here. He's getting an opportunity to probably be, you know, the tight end, and he's getting to play alongside probably, you know, at least what we think now is probably going to be one of the best quarterbacks for quite some time in the league.
Well, and I think that's probably the biggest question mark on this offense is that the tight end room in general. Is this a year that maybe Moss takes a step forward?
Could be.
I mean, there's definitely opportunity. If it's Hayden Hurst's job to lose, and we're all high on him, what if he doesn't look great? Then you're potentially looking at, you know,
Did they
what
draft
happened.
the tight end anywhere?
No. So I don't know. I think that room is probably the biggest question mark on, even though you signed 3 guys from 3 different teams to replace your offensive line, and you don't know necessarily what's going on with this offensive line. Like, is Jackson Carman going to take a step forward, even with all the stuff he's had going on? Woof. Like what's happening? Riley Reif, he's no longer available as he just signed with, help me out here. He signed with somebody today. I can't remember who he signed with.
I saw a thing that said he signed, but it didn't mention who he signed with.
$12.5 million. I remember the number, but I don't remember the team.
Bears.
There it is.
Bears.
So he's no longer an option. Quentin Spain may still be an option as he's not signed yet, to my knowledge, for them to potentially bring back. But you got to see what you got. And
I think obviously, like, as you see what you've got, like, you're probably going to also have, you know, there's going to be guys that don't fit in elsewhere that might end up fitting in here better, and they can, you know, make that little flurry of signings and pickups and drops and whatnot, you know, throughout the season. The other thing I'm like super excited about that always seems to like that people I don't see a lot of people mentioning it. I see it here and there, but the fact that Asai is coming back on the defensive side, like if what, you know, because we were this show was high on him in the draft when we drafted him. This show was high on him.
Correct.
I said he was the steal of the draft.
Correct.
And then
so did many experts, actually.
Right.
Not a knock on you.
No,
but
I'm not saying that I'm like
just you were in good company. Sure.
Fair. Doesn't have a lot. And then he kind of showed that like, oh, could he possibly be? Like he looked pretty good. And then he got hurt.
Right. And
I think a lot of people kind of, you know, obviously like we did all right last year as a team. And
well, if you can spell Trey Hendrickson at all and give him a breather,
give him a little blow,
right?
I'm all for it.
And put a guy in there who's a dude.
What, like, I mean, could he possibly be like
starting opposite him?
Dog.
Couple about 2 seconds late on it, Ed, but I'll give you props.
I'm sorry. I got a message from my doctor. I needed to check out real quick.
No, that's fair.
Well, we all got a message from Kirby, so.
But yeah, no, I'm excited about that. I think offensive side, I didn't even really think about the tight end side of things, but that is
I think it's the biggest question mark.
That is going to be very intriguing to follow. I think you're right that we do get caught up in thinking about, like, you know, what's the next level that Burrow can take it to? What's the next level that this receiving core can take it to? What are we going to look like, you know, running the ball behind a line that is confident? Like,
well, who's number 2? Is it going to be Chris Evans? Is it going to be Samaje Perine again? I think it's going to be Chris Evans. I'll be shocked if it's not Chris Evans.
That's fair.
Defense side of the ball. What are your biggest question marks? This is a softball.
Was Ed gonna say something, or was he?
No, I'm sorry.
You good?
It's your secondary.
Yes.
No.
Largely safety. Is Jesse Bates coming back?
Is he going to show up?
He's not being fined. Well, he's not being fined, so why should he show up?
Yeah.
Truthfully, you're risking injury before you sign a contract. Well, you have to sign a contract to show up, but I think,
yeah.
But yeah, why would you show up to risk injury otherwise? I don't love the situation that Jesse Bates is putting the team in. I don't think that what's the highest that he's been offered reportedly? 16?
It was. I mean, the last one was pretty high.
Ed, look up the top paid safeties.
I think it would have made him the third highest paid safety if that reported number was true.
Which isn't crazy.
So, Mika Fitzpatrick, $18.2 million.
In the division, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Jamal Adams, 17.5. Harrison Smith, 16.
Jamal Adams is Seattle,
5.
right?
Yes, sir. Justin Simmons, 15.25.
So 3.
So he would have been
at
third.
16.
Buda Baker.
Well, and the thing about the Bengals, as opposed to any other team you sign with, if you sign with the Bengals on a contract like that, you're probably going to get paid through the end of that contract.
Probably. Mike Brown doesn't break contracts.
No, he doesn't. Even when the fans are screaming for it. And who knows how much control Mike Brown has at this point, or what the things that he valued compared to the things that his family values. So I don't know. I think this is going to be certainly something that everybody's going to be watching, like without doubt. But I think they've also positioned themselves to be okay as they added a lot of pieces to the secondary in the draft. I think they drafted one safety, one corner, and one guy who can be a safety or a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Dex Hill is that guy that fits both bills.
It goes in there, yep.
That was the salary per year. That's what you wanted, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah. He wasn't going to make 16 over 4.
No.
But yeah, I think obviously secondary is something to keep an eye on. There were certainly some injuries that plagued the linebacking core last year, as Akeem Davis-Gaither, he saw some time out. I don't even think he played in the Super Bowl. I think he was out the later part of the season. I mean, can the young guys take a step forward? The guy who had the pass breakup in the playoff game, maybe the biggest pass breakup ever. I'm blanking on him. Bengals linebackers. Logan Wilson, good Lord. Can he take a step forward? Can Jermaine Pratt take a step forward? Like who's going to be the guy that continues to do the thing? I mean, obviously we know Logan Wilson had fantastic playoffs, but is that going to continue?
I like Logan Wilson.
Yeah, but is it going to continue? I think he should be a guy that they focus on defense to build around, but can he continue? Is he just a freak 1 year thing, or is it going to be?
What would you call him, Ed?
That was pretty good.
Huh?
I was pulling it up for you. Sorry.
I already have his jersey.
Okay.
I don't have the color rush one though. I would say he's a dog though.
Pratt does improve every year. You're right, Geoff. You're right.
We could put something like we need to figure out some sort of signal when you went there.
Just listen. Social cues.
I was pulling up other things for you guys, so I apologize.
You good. You good.
You
No one's mad.
at you.
We're not mad. We're just disappointed.
Cincinnati.
I don't know. I'm not terribly concerned about the defense comparatively with the offense, as the offense has a lot more new pieces that are going to either be starters or projected starters as of right now before we break camp. So lots of questions. Special teams,
Well,
I think is
I was
pretty.
gonna say, Geoff brings up McPherson jerseys being back in stock. I don't know if they are or not. I have one, but
when I was at the Garth Brooks concert, they had a bunch of them.
That could be an interesting kind of thing to look at to see. Like, obviously he like kicked out of his mind last year, right?
Yes.
I mean, that obviously had one of the best seasons of a kicker like ever as a rookie. So it's like,
yes,
but he sat on the bench and watched the halftime show during the Super Bowl instead of.
He always did that. That's his routine.
According to the internets,
yeah.
That makes him a bad player.
Whatever. Like, will he?
I'm more interested to see who's returning kicks, who's returning punts. I think those are going to be bigger question marks on special teams than who's actually kicking the ball.
What about punter?
It's still Kevin Huber, and that's been a question mark for the last 2-3 years, right? Like, that's not new. That's how do you tell a guy who's from Cincinnati, who's been Cincinnati his entire career, like, hey man, let's move on.
McPherson jerseys are in stock.
He's been with you through the bad, through the good, and he's never asked for crazy money.
Yeah.
So that one's tough. No, Clark Harris isn't bad. He's all the way good. Hey, Peter, man, check out the chick on Channel 6. What would I do with $1 million?
I think that's what you need to go for, Ed. Now that I think about it.
What's that? McPherson jersey?
No, the Clark Harris Fumage.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Why not?
Work.
Oh, fair.
All right.
Guess they're not.
I think that's all I really have on the Bengals and camp. I think that more questions will emerge, as unfortunately I don't remember a camp where we got through without somebody having some wild injury.
Hey, but you know what? I'll take like I guess a sore back for Collins, whatever Kappa's deal is, and
early on compared to game 2 in the preseason where they're out for 6 to 8 and or an off-season torn pec or something of that nature. So yeah, I think everything's okay right now. Nobody's in panic mode about any of the rooms as they currently stand, outside of maybe the safety room. But we'll see. Von Bell's still there. He can coach up the young bucks. We'll see what happens.
I'm still really excited. I'm just so excited.
I'm ready for the season to start.
Jesse Bates reportedly was also at Paul Brown yesterday.
He was there for he was there for the music fest this weekend.
Well, I'm sure he was also there, probably talking shop. Like, I doubt that they have just left it alone. Like, they're still
you would hope they haven't.
Hell yeah. I mean,
like,
I don't think,
dude, I guess if you're gonna show up and sign this, like, it's over here, like, by your locker.
Yeah.
Like,
they're not gonna pull Reds and just not talk to Nick Castellanos at all.
Don't even get me started on that.
Not even give him an offer.
We'll get to that story before we finish this out.
Is that your bum of the week?
Yeah.
Bearcats, they did announce a NIL manager. I know, Jeff, you've been wanting to talk about this. I think that's probably the biggest news of the week. I got one other thing I want to hit on before we.
I just seeing it. I just thought it's a brilliant move. It's ahead of the curve.
Oh yeah.
There's only 6 other teams that are currently involved with this particular company.
Is that the company he's like run by Oliver Luck or founded by Oliver Luck or something like that?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm pretty sure. Look it up, Ed, if you would. But I mean, it's being ahead of the curve. It's doing, kind of right by your athletic program. I think. We've talked pretty heavily on this show about prior to it becoming a thing, when it became a thing, our thoughts on NIL and where it's headed. And I think that having an office like that is every bit the same as having, your like the study halls and things that the kids have to go to make sure that they're getting all of their ducks in a row in class. So now you've got this. You don't want anybody to run afoul of the NIL deals, right? And you also want to make it where kids that maybe wouldn't necessarily be.
He's a chairman.
He's the chairman.
He's a full-time chairman.
Okay, so you kids that wouldn't be able to get NIL deals, or maybe wouldn't be able to
find the deals
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not to mention that, but also making sure they have their ducks in order, right? Like the financial side of it, like the paying of the taxes and stuff like that.
Well, a lot of kids, their parents.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Their parents are the managers of these kids in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
Like they don't have actual managers. So to have a team in place who's going to work for you and abide by the NCAA rules, like because their reputation depends on it.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. You're gonna have these guys. Some guys. Let's face it. You're gonna have some guys that are gonna have stupid big NIL deals, right? That
in Cincinnati, I mean, you will have some guys that have bigger deals than others.
Okay,
sure,
that's what I mean.
I don't know that you're gonna have like the Ohio State or the LSU or the yet.
Simple truth.
We're not there.
Thing is, moving. Look, you've got a year before you move to the big boy conference.
Yes,
and the way things are looking with like basketball recruiting and football recruiting and moving up the recruit class ranking charts and the possibility of unlimited transfers of kids and this, that, and the other, like you're probably gonna have some kids that end up getting bigger deals obviously than the year before, your biggest deal kind of thing. Like I said, when we talked about it the other day, I just think it's a brilliant move. Super forward thinking. You're moving into a conference where we've already talked about Brett Yormark being able to potentially get, attract more NIL investors that want to invest in the schools in the conference and the players that are going to be at those schools, and to have the ability to just go down to the NIL office on campus and say,
strike a conversation.
Hey, I was contacted by this team, or this group. Like, can you look at these and tell me if this is something I need to be mixed up in? If this is is
this okay?
Is this fine? Because if it's not, I don't want to do it, and I don't want to sign on any dotted line without you looking it over, because I don't want to lose my eligibility because it's not good.
I also don't want to be an eyesore on the school for doing something, or
correct,
whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Kind of along that same line, I mean, as far as just watching out for you and making sure you're in the best place that you can be. David DeJulius put out a tweet a couple days ago that I don't think has been getting enough hype.
Yes. Yeah, the one that you sent, Jeff. Yes.
It's only got 51 retweets. It's only got 487 likes. But he said, future recruits, if you want to know what it's like for playing for Coach Wes, watch this. And Jeff, I know you put that in our group chat. I'd already retweeted it out at that point. I wasn't trying to knock you on.
Oh no, that you have at it. That was. But, I saw it and I thought the same thing. And I don't know if it's
it was for those who haven't seen it. It was a video of Steve Kerr and the way he talks to the Golden State Warriors, predominantly Steph Curry, and just how do you talk to a superstar, right?
I mean, constantly building him up.
Even when he's being critical. Critical,
yes.
He found a way to, hey, you're not doing this right. Here's the things you are doing right. So even though you're not doing this one thing right, you're still doing these other things right that are on the stat book. Here's your plus minus. This is why, even though you're having a bad shooting night, the plus minus is up. You're doing just fine. Keep at it. Your tempo is good. Everything is good. The team's gelling with you. It was amazing. And the fact that David DeJulius is comparing Wes Miller to a guy like Steve Kerr, who's got now 3 rings,
No, I mean that in and of itself, outside of like any NIL deal or anything, I mean that right there, like if a kid sees that,
Huge.
and I mean Steph Curry has changed obviously the way, I know we joke about it a lot, where like
Changed the NBA.
where he's changed the way things go, but like that's a guy that people can relate to, and that to be that tweet, that like the Steph Curry interaction tweet was a couple years old, I think.
Was it?
I can check. I have it pulled up.
I
mean, this particular, what he retweeted, I don't know about the original video, but the what he retweeted was saying, here's a clip of Stephen Curry and Steve Kerr to brighten up your day night more. But that was only from July 16th of 22. That's not to say he didn't pull that video from somewhere else.
I thought
that was a couple years.
Like
it very well could have. I mean, you could have. People do that all the time. They take a video from.
But the thing is like, if you're a kid that, you know, hey, is that the kind of coach I want to play for? And I know I've harped a lot of things like of this year of like, I've had some experiences with coaches that don't go that way. And that right there embodies like the good experiences I had with coaches throughout my like.
I mean, it's how you can
get stuff, but like that's the thing. Like,
you should always be.
You want to play for that guy? You want to run through a brick wall for that guy, and
even if you're having a shitty night,
right? Because what's he doing? He's building them up to, like you went back to, like you might not see it on the stat sheet. You know, on Sunday you open the paper up and your stats might look, you know, mediocre, or you didn't have the great. But what you're doing away from that for the rest of the team, and you see there, like you're impacting that.
Right.
So just keep doing it. And the rest of it's gonna come. And I love your confidence. You know, you were. I think he tells him like, hey, you were like 1 for 4 from 3 or something, but like you still had the confidence to throw up
I wish I had that confidence.
Or whatever. Like, I wish I had that. Like, just keep doing it. It's gonna roll. It's gonna come for you. And like that's just. And to hear DeJulius say like, look, I'm watching this, and I'm basically seeing like a carbon copy of Wes Miller.
Not a coach screaming at you. Not a coach telling you what you're doing wrong. Be better.
Not a coach standing up and walking off the court before the game's over, or like screaming up into the stands at students. Like, these things aren't happening. Like, this is a coach you want to come play for. He's going to build you up. He's going to tell you what's not going so well, but on top of it, he's going to tell you what you are doing well, and that he has the confidence that you're going to raise the things you're not doing well up to be equal with the things you are doing well, and you're going to have a great experience.
I mean, on top of that, Ray Vaughn he played on ESPN tonight, and at the end of the game, he said, and this is a tweet from Justin Williams, I love Coach Wes Miller. That's why I'm going to Cincinnati.
That's huge. Said
it on ESPN.
That's huge. What a recruiting tool that quote was.
That's the kind of stuff that we talk about Fickle getting all the time, and now Wes is starting to get it, and that's
Chad and I have talked about this off air, like that we're going to look back at Wes Miller and Luke Fickle and be like, this was the golden era. Like the golden era.
That's fair.
Football and basketball lined up, and you had the best coaches in play. I mean, that's not a knock on Mick. That's not a knock on Hugs, but they're different dudes. Hey, Collier watching live on Instagram.
I'm glad he was because he'd already signed with the Reds. He had time to.
Not that Collier.
I know.
It's the other Collier.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was, I don't know, it lived with me for like 2 days.
You didn't see anybody saying that about the previous regime.
Yeah.
Touche.
He who shall not be named, Nick Kirby.
Touche. Outside of that, I don't have anything else really. I know Camp Higher Ground is going to be starting here in the next week and some time.
Tari will be back in town this weekend to play in the Smith League with Davenport and forgot the other gentleman's name, but He'll be back in town this weekend to play in this.
DeJulius,
No, not
Mike
fucking
Adams Woods. Are you talking about Landers Nolly?
That's it. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
I'm surprised he's allowed to play in the Smith League as per his new NBA contract. But I guess
The Smith League posted that they are allowing. They've gotten letters of exception from the NBA.
I'm just
for a
surprised
couple players.
I'm just surprised anybody's NBA contract. I mean, I know like some of the vets are doing it. Like LeBron played in a league.
Jackson Hayes played last week.
Now that you know who he is.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know who he is now?
The guy with the hat. He played
Was
last
he wear-
week.
Was he wearing a hat?
No.
No.
That's why I recognized him this time.
So that's all I got on the Bearcats. We'll have plenty. I do plan on getting to a couple camps. I'm not sure when, but I do plan on getting to a couple camps. So we'll have more once that all happens. But there's Chad and I've been detailing some of the question marks over the course of this week for the camp that aren't the quarterback, that aren't the running back. Let's see what else we get to. So far, we've done receiver and linebacker, as those have been positions that have garnered some.
Yeah, there've been just
award watches.
You want to touch on the guys that I know it's probably been on the nightcap and it's probably been on all the other stuff, but you want to touch on those guys that you just name them and what award that they've been preseason nominated for, and we can move on from that, because if they want more detailed stuff, I'm sure you can point them in the right direction.
Nick Martiner, the receiver transfer from Hawaii, is up for the Blitnikoff. Ivan Pace and Deshaun Pace, the Pace brothers, up for the Butkus Award watch. And both Lenny Taylor and Josh Wiley are up for, I don't remember the name of the tight end award, but they are up for the tight end of the year watch.
Because we got guys that get awards here.
Yeah.
My school discovered for polio.
So I don't know how to follow that up, but
some Mick Cronin quote. Sorry,
you want to go ahead and
follow of the week.
Well, I was just going to say, last year we had a lot of guys who won awards that weren't on any watch lists. So I would not be surprised if you see some guys emerge that haven't gotten the preseason hype. As Chad and I have talked about, there are so many question marks on this roster, not because there isn't talent there, but we just don't know who's going to be in those roles.
Which one's going to rise to the top where, and who's going to.
So it should be
who's going to answer the bell, per se.
Should be a lot of fun to see how camp emerges.
And obviously, we're going to ramp up a lot of that Bearcat coverage here as well.
Sure.
It'll fill our.
Thank God! I can't wait for the summer to be over.
It'll fill our Reds void.
I can't wait for the summer.
We'll have Bengals. We'll have Bearcats. Got a lot of stuff to talk about with that, and then obviously things start rolling here.
And basketball's right around the corner after that.
And for those of you listening, watching, whatever, we do still have the Bearcat Nation Facebook page, which exploded to almost 14,000 members last year. So you can jump in there and chop it up with folks about the Bearcats as much as you want.
Cool. Ed?
Bum of the week?
Let's go.
You're training like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum. You are a bum. You're a bum. And that's all you'll ever be. A bum.
Well, that hurts, man.
So this show had a dalliance with Nick Castellanos' brother, as we became close friends for a time until he disappeared to Philly. Nick, that
I invited him on tonight.
We have I've not heard, Jeff has not heard, Ed has not heard from Ryan Castellanos in quite some time. But it was fun while it lasted. And that's how you have to look at every good breakup. But that said, Nick Castellanos seems to be back to his old ways of dealing with the media. He never dealt with the media in that way here, per se. People say he never dealt with the media like that here. I disagree. There was a clip. Do you have the clip, Ed?
I do.
Now you hit play.
I did hit play. It's playing.
There's no audio. In any case,
There's no audio?
No. In any case,
hit audio. Sorry.
It's fine. Basically, a reporter asked him if he heard the boos from the stadium in Philly, as he's been slumping, and he essentially told the reporter, "No, it's a stupid question. I lost my hearing. Yeah, no, it's a stupid question. Don't ask me a stupid question. It's rhetorical. What do you mean? It's a rhetorical question. Don't ask me a stupid question." Like, I think he said stupid question about 17 times.
Then he asked the rest of the reporters if they could tell him why it was a stupid question.
Yeah, he did do that.
The reporter, by the way, his name is Jim Salisbury. You
can't ask a question like that and not expect that type of a response, right?
Right.
Like we've seen media here get shit on when they ask stupid questions. C. Trent and Brandon Phillips were not friends, and C. Trent's been dealing with his own Twitter mess this week. Not getting into that.
No.
But there's just been some weird things that people have asked, even here in Cincinnati. But I think when you are asking a guy who came and signed for $100 million, did you hear the boos when they have been booing? And let's be real, Philly is going to Philly. They threw snowballs at Santa. Like, you can't be surprised that they're booing anybody in Philly.
I guess obviously, like, I don't follow like the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't follow like any of that. Or
they fired Joe Girardi this year. They're not doing well.
Like, I don't follow that. So I guess he's like kind of been having like a little bit of a rough stretch. Yeah. But somebody tweeted out like he's got like the second most hits on the team this year.
Well, he was leading the team in hits when it happened, when that whole interview happened, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it's wild, but like, I don't know.
I understand.
It's a different place, and it's much like you said, Aaron. Like, Philly's gonna Philly. Like, that's just kind of what you come to expect out of those. Like, I mean, it's very much a "what have you done for me lately" kind of place. Like,
sure,
you could be on top of the world yesterday, and then like maybe today you lose a ball on the lights, and now you're like public enemy number one.
But when you ask a player if you heard the boos, you can't be surprised when you get that type of a response. Like, what do you want him to say? Like, I mean, he can give you player talk and be like, "Yeah, I've hit a rough stretch. I've been working on it every day." Like, do you want
that's
the
bullshit? But that's not Castellanos.
He doesn't bullshit you. He never will bullshit you. So,
and that's the thing. I understand what the reporter is a stupid question, but I understand what he was trying to get. Like, he was trying to get a response to the boos, right? So, but you don't say, "Did you hear the boos?"
I don't think he was. I think he was looking
for.
He was looking for the bullshit patty cake answer. That's what
I just assumed he was just trying to get a response to the boos, because at that point you just say, "Do you have obviously there were some boos when you struck out. What are your thoughts on that?" I mean, I'm no Chad Brindle or Mo Egger, but I mean, I know that's the right question to ask.
He was looking for the bullshit patty cake answer. I want to hear coach speak, if you will. Like, I mean, that term. So I think that's what he was looking for, and that's certainly not what he got. And I think he got everything he deserved.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, and then
they tried to step
on
up.
Top. Yeah, that was the other part of it. Like, on top of the fact that he asked a stupid question, and then didn't like the fact that like Castellanos told him it was a stupid question, he then like tried to come back at him like, "Well, if it's a stupid question, why can't you answer it?" And it was like, "Yo, guy, like, for one,
if it's a stupid question,
you're in the locker room. Like, that's his place. I'm sure there's rules, whatever. He's got to talk. He's got to, but like, that's his space to be in. And like, yes, he understands. He's a professional athlete, right? He understands he's hit a rough stretch. Like, I don't know how long it's been going on, none of that kind of stuff. I don't have the context of that, but I do know that he probably understands that he's not performing as well as he would like or as well as he can.
Yeah.
And you're going to come at him like that?
And
Ridiculous.
Knowing Nick Castellanos, he's probably already beating himself up over that.
Right. So, yep, I agree with the bum of the week.
We'll take
I also am going to go back to last week and have my bum of the week that I was gonna bring up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
No, because I want your opinion, Ed. I know you can still hear me. Get back in here. So this kind of is like a big heart. For those that don't know, the World Athletic Championships were going on the last like week and a half ish, which the U.S. did win 33 medals, and that eclipsed the East German record of 32 medals won at a World Athletics Championships. World Athletics Championships are like track and field. The U.S. did very well.
A record so old there were 2 Germanys.
Correct, and the East Germans were all. I mean, a lot of the things going on then. They were running a state-sponsored doping program, so
whoopsie.
Yeah, but they haven't taken some of the records down. They probably should. That's another story for another day. However, Ed, let me ask you your opinion on this. If you're on the starting line, what to you would constitute a false start?
Running before the gun.
I don't know if Aaron's seen this story.
0.001.
Do you know who Devin Allen is, Ed?
Name sounds familiar.
He was a wide receiver. He played for the University of Oregon. He's at a camp. He signed a kind of a camp deal kind of thing to try to make the Philadelphia Eagles. However, he is a world-class hurdler over the 110-meter hurdles. The U.S. probably would have swept the 110-meter hurdles. He, in fact, had the fastest time in the world this year as a hurdler. On the line, the gun went off, and then it went off again to signal a false start because his foot left the pad. The pad, like his block has a pad in it that registers when his foot leaves. He was judged to have left the pad 0.099 seconds after the gun went off. And that was deemed to be a false start because they say that the humans can't react faster than 0.1. A tenth of a second.
I don't think you want my opinion on this. I think you want Troy Kilpane's opinion on this.
Why is that?
Clock. Connecticut.
Wow.
Oh, I thought he was going to play like an audio.
I thought he had a clip.
I was waiting for it.
He didn't have a clip. But they said basically that they said he reacted too fast to the gun, even though the governing body back in 2009 actually they published an article where they said that it should be lowered to 0.08. It hasn't been.
The
rules kind of fall on the.
That's 0.079 for those who are doing math.
It's wild.
That's the difference between what they thought and what it was.
So he reacted at 0.099, which is 0.001 too fast. It was ridiculous. And he's like, the other thing is obviously the championships were at Hayward Field, which is Oregon. Yeah, he's like, back at his he's at it in like, and he walked over and the officials like stand there. They have like a little review board show like whatever. And he's like, you were too fast. You were too fast. And it was awful. I mean, it was kind of a black eye on the championships there because there was a lot of people that are big in the track world that were, pointing out it seems a little crazy to like tell someone you false started after the gun went off.
I agree.
So he was that official, really the World Athletics Board, whatever, but that official, because he was the one that made the call there. He had to be my bum of the week last week, but nobody knew about it because I left.
You got an AEW minute?
I don't have any AEW news, but I mean, obviously we've seen that Vince McMahon is no longer with the WWF, although there are some people saying that he's still with
WWE.
Yeah, WWE. Sorry, whatever. Triple H has made his return to the WWE. He's part of Creative now.
Stephanie's taking over.
Stephanie's apparently going to take over. She's going to be the most powerful woman in sports entertainment now.
Brock Lesnar walked away.
He walked away for a short bit, but he did come back. He had a little emotional outburst, but he came back. And, a lot of these guys are tweeting about how much they're obviously their careers would not be what they would have been without Vince McMahon. He made a lot of those decision makings on their character and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, it's a sad day for the wrestling industry, but as soon as we bring PG-13 Raws back, I think it's gonna be fine.
Some might say it was a little too late. Should have happened a while ago, but
some would say that. That is correct. Yes, some would say that.
So just saying, not.
But you get Tony
not
Khan.
Necessarily all sentiments and sadness.
Tony Khan, the guy who owns AEW, said he, instead of congratulating Vince on the long career,
no, he congratulated himself. Longest tenured owner in wrestling.
I mean, that's a move.
I love it. I'm here for
a move.
it.
Chad, did you have something to say about wrestling?
No, he good.
Okay, I didn't know why he popped in. Okay.
Well, because
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I mean, Stephanie's Triple H has taken over creative.
Yeah, but some people say that Vince is giving him.
Maybe that's why it's going to be PG-13 again.
He also apparently gave up all his stock or something like that.
Look, if there's anybody I really want running creative, it's Triple H. Like DX, attitude, like that guy lived it, right? Like that guy understands what it takes to make that company great. That's the problem right now. There's no Rock, there's no Triple H, there's no Stone Cold. Like it's just
Yeah, no, definitely. Him and Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels is his right-hand man right now.
Yeah.
But him and Shawn Michaels at the helm.
Shawn Michaels is Triple H's right-hand man. That's breaking news.
I know. Yeah. I'm glad I could get that out there for you. But it should be interesting to see what happens. SummerSlam this weekend? Next weekend?
I have no idea. I don't
this weekend.
Is it this weekend?
It is.
Now is the question is SummerSlam, Jeff, you might know the answer to this. Paramount, right? Is WWE? Or is that the other one?
What? No.
Paramount Plus?
WWE, no, it's on the Peacock network.
WWE's Peacock.
So that's okay, so Peacock. If I download the
it's on the cock, Ed.
Yeah.
It's on the cock.
If I download the 7-day trial of the Peacock network, can I watch the SummerSlam for free?
Yes.
Probably. Can you really?
Yeah, if you have a Peacock subscription, you get it's just like back in the day when they for that brief time when they had the WWE app.
Network.
Yeah, whatever it was, yeah. But yeah, if you have the Peacock subscription, you can go in there and watch old. You can watch old wrestling stuff. It's fantastic.
And that was 5 minutes of all of us knowing more about wrestling than Ed. So that was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Again, thank you for joining us, Nick Kirby. Thank you for joining us, anybody who is watching. This was another episode of PTP for Ed Mayhall, for Jeff Howell. I'm Aaron Smith, and we're out.
What?